back to another video feature of the Immersive Worlds Handbook. Today I'm back at Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, and I'm going to try to shift the camera here to give you a sense of these incredible structures, part of this another series of what you call a cloud walk here at this ecological architectural space. So I'm hoping you're getting this. I think you are. In any case, my sense is of this particular space is they've created something that people have said resembles the fantasy world in Avatar, and I think in a sense you could see how that comparison is an apt one as I take you here around more of this space and give you a sense of its scale. So I wanted to also share with you some of the images here, the brochures that are from Gardens by the Bay, and a bit later some of the postcards from the gift shop. And these further emphasize the iconic stature of these Supertrees at Gardens by the Bay. And these trees are anywhere close to 16 stories high, 18 total. And a curious thing, if you see in my videos the OCBC Skyway, which connects two of the trees, well, one of these particular trees actually contains a restaurant, a bistro. Unfortunately, I did not have a chance during my visit to check out this restaurant that is at the top of one of these remarkable trees. Now, in looking at the construction of the trees, I was able to discover through some research that there are 4 phases or aspects of construction. And just right now you're going to see some of these postcards that further highlight the potential of these trees, I think, as marketing tools for not just Gardens by the Bay, but also the city of Singapore. So the trees contain a reinforced concrete core that upholds these large structures, a trunk that is a steel frame that is attached around the reinforcement of the concrete core, and there's also planting panels that allow them to plant the living skin onto each of the trees. And of course at the top, this umbrella-like structure that I think lends itself to so much of the drama that you receive as a viewer of these trees. There is a canopy which composes the top, and it apparently was hoisted via a hydraulic jack system. And something that's further significant about the trees, which emphasizes my points today about the interconnections of nature and culture here at Gardens by the Bay, is the fact that they've focused on environmentally sustainable design. Some of the trees actually have photovoltaic cells to harvest solar energy and thus allowing for the light to be produced by natural sources. And others have the integration with the cooled conservatories and serve as air exhaust receptacles. So the overall plan, I think, of Gardens by the Bay has focused on this idea of sustainability, which I believe lends itself well to metaphors of connection between nature and culture, and particularly the idea of sustaining one through the other. And it also connects quite well, I think, with some of the civics messages that I spoke of in other video features that are offered in both the Flower Dome and inside the Cloud Forest. And I should say a bit more here about the nature side of the Supertrees. And what's quite curious, if you have a chance to look at the images and the videos I've been sharing, is they've incorporated over 160,000 different plants, a total of 200 different species, as part of the trunks that make up the Supertrees. And these include plants from Brazil, Panama, Costa Rica, and other places. And I was also reading that they've composed these in such a way such that they can stress aesthetically the different colors, ranging from warm tones, the reds and the browns and the yellows, and then cooler hues like silver and pink. And I also had a chance to research that these plants were chosen for a series of characteristics, including how well they would work out as vertical planters, were they lightweight and hardy, could they be maintained without soil, were they suitable for the climate of Singapore, were they ones that were not commonly found in Singapore, so expanding the scope of the plants shown here, and were they then visually interesting. And let me just offer here 4 ideas as to why I think the connections here at the Supertrees Grove are so significant. Again, these are the nature-culture connections. The first I would offer as the sense of the hybrid, the fact that they've effectively fused the technological with the natural. The second of these is the sense of the performativity of nature that they have replicated through forms of culture. And I think as a visitor to this space, you are constantly wavering back between the plants and the actual, the natural form of plants and the structures which have their artificiality, which is never distracting. And the third of these is a sense of appreciation that you might have of both nature and culture after leaving these spaces. And the final one, I think, is the most significant, particularly as Singapore as a city struggles with sustainability, its growing population, and its small landmass. And this is the idea that nature and culture can connect with one another and that we can achieve through the both of them some sense of sustainability. So I think in metaphorical senses, Gardens by the Bay, and specifically the Supertrees, have achieved this incredible fusion of the natural and the cultural, of the plant-like and the designed and the architectural. Hi, and as we continue this feature looking at nature and culture, as you can see behind me, with the structure that you could call a tree, that's part of the skywalk, which perhaps you can see above me here. But one of the things that is, I think, curious about this is as we pan up the tree, we actually do see that with the flora, you can dictate that part of nature, but at the same time, of course, you could see the architectural, what I consider to be postmodern elements that makes up this particular feature at Gardens by the Bay. And then if I move the camera here, and if you could see the skywalk above me, right there in the camera, again, I think one of the things that you can tell about this space is that it's very, very comfortable with integrating the natural elements with the cultural, architectural elements. I hope you enjoyed this opportunity today to review with me Gardens by the Bay and the amazing Supertrees as we had a chance to look at the connections of nature and culture that could be appropriate for themed and immersive spaces. And I think you might agree with me that these are examples of amazing forms of immersion and theming, and certainly were one to update a list of the great features around the world, the great wonders around the world. I personally would have to include the Supertrees Grove in that list because of their amazement, because of the fact that they've done so much here with these structures that as guests we can surely appreciate in their various levels in which they connect us to nature and culture. So please come back for additional video features for the Immersive Worlds Handbook.